Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and I've got Tim Lace here with me. We're a South African cricket podcast. You can follow us on X, subscribe to the Full Quota podcast on YouTube, as well as Full Quota podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also buy some coffee at buymeacoffee.com, Full Quota pod. That will help us. That helps us keep putting out this content and keep doing these shows on a weekly basis. As I said, we cover all things South African cricket, all the way down to domestic cricket, to give you a sense of who's coming up, who's going down, who's doing well, and on top of that, who is next in line. And today is an interesting one because this is the South African Cricket Awards show of the Full Quota podcast. And so we are excited. It is not linked to South African Cricket Awards, although we do recognize them, the CSA Awards. These awards are the true cricketing awards for South African cricket, and they cover from the 1st of Jan 2024 up until now. So any late movers in a Boxing Day test, there's nothing we can do for you there. But outside of that, Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, but I'm all good. I'm actually quite enjoying the ISA Invitational game happening at the moment, which is good to see some of our youngsters doing well and being competitive, but all good, all good.
I hear Jordan Hadman scored 100. Lesego Sinekwane was scoring half centuries as well.
And Kishile, that was good. It was good, good day for our batters, certainly.
I remember you were not happy with having Tesh there, so at least he's doing something.
No, I'm glad that he is being consistent. I'm glad he's been consistent. Look, he was in one of my teams of the week a couple of weeks ago, and he hadn't even made a 50. It was a 35 or something. So if he continues with it, fantastic. It's great to see.
One thing it says, it speaks to the strength of our domestic game, that the England Lions can be given a whole lot of trouble by effectively the domestic 11. If I had to pick a domestic 11, it would look like that. Yes, maybe you could have a Bjorn Fortuin in there, you could have a Delano Potgieter in there, but quite frankly, it's a very strong side.
It's a strong side, and to be fair to the England setup, it's basically an under 20 squad from their point of view. It's a lot younger, a lot less experience, a lot of talent, but our team is certainly a bit more experienced. In terms of
it's good to know that we're not being ageist, like some people on Twitter. 35 is a real number. It's funny enough that Tim and I are turning 35 next year, so that's going to be quite interesting. If people might be like, "Mpho, get off the podcast. You're only 35." But we'll see. Okay, Tim. Awards. Our Full Quota South African Cricket Awards show starts now. And we've got lots of categories, right? And remember, it's from the 1st of December to now. So we'll be trying to cover as much ground as possible. And let's get going. We're going to go through the men's team, so the women's team, and then we've got some fun things. So it's a fun show. Go out with us. Send us your commentaries, guys we've left out, guys you think we should consider. And here we go. First one is men's test batter of the year. The nominees are Themba Bavuma, 432 runs this year at an average of 61. Vian Mulder, 258 at an average of 64.5. Calvarena, 380 runs at an average of 42, but he scored 200s. And you've also got Tristan Stubbs at 490 runs at an average of 40.83 with 200s to his name this year. Remember, those hundreds were quite important in the Sri Lankan and the Bangladesh series. Tim, who is your CSA, full quota CSA Test Batter of the Year?
It's got to be Timber. I think you could make an argument for somebody like Tristan simply because of the role that he's had to do. He's had to come in at number 3, which is a very, very difficult spot, and make it his own with the backing of Shukri. But I just think, in terms of leadership, in terms of consistency, in terms of batting in difficult periods, in terms of being the leading run scorer in games. There was an 86 this year against the West Indies. Was a top run scorer in that particular innings. 113 just the other day against Sri Lanka. In that massive partnership with Stubbs was one of the best innings I've seen in a long time. I can't look past Timber's input and consistency in this year in particularly. It's far outweighed what we've seen from him subsequently in before this period. So for me, it's you could make a case for Tristan, but for me, it's got to be Timber.
Look, you can't make a case for Tristan, largely because of that average. Timber scored 60 runs less at a higher average, which kind of speaks to the type of year he's having. It's probably his best ever year. Calvarena's in there, but not enough weight of runs, and the average speaks to itself. And normally this is one where you look at average, or if not, it's weight of runs. And Tristan has the runs component. Timber's just been doing it. Obviously, remember, he's been injured and he didn't play in the Bangladesh series. And even then, I think it would have been runs and average. And so average is a great equalizer. And I think Timber's had the best year of his career. Really good batting. It's just continuing to grow from strength and strength. And yeah, look, I think even now in this Pakistan Test series, I look at Timber and Tristan and I'm like, yeah, that's our 3 and 4. I've never been so becalmed by the fact that Tristan Stubbs is batting at 3, but also becalmed by the fact that Timber's now batting in his number 4 position, which is natural position. And the only thing that can stop him is injury. So this one's an easy one for me too. Well done to Carl. Well done to Tristan, and well done to all the other guys. It's the one year where, like, remember there were years where we had like 2 centurions or even 1. Now we've got like 8 and more, and it's like top 6 plus the reserves. So well done to the Test batters. Now, Test bowling also might be quite easy, but here are the nominees. Keshav Maharaj, 35 wickets at an average of 19. Kagiso Rabada, 32 wickets at an average of 17.96. Marco Jansen, 15 wickets at an average of 18. I'm going to stop there. There's only 2 people in this category. It's Keshav, it's Kagiso. Tim, where are you going with this one?
I'm going Kagiso. I'm going Rabada in this particular section. Again, he is the most important cog in this bowling lineup, particularly in this format, particularly where I don't think we get the best out of him in the white ball. He's still effective, but I don't think we get the best. We get the best out of him in this format. And when we do well. When we do, we win Test matches. When we do, we get close to things like World Test Championship finals. It is because of that, because of his input, because of his class that we get there. I could run up a whole list of games this year that he's been quality at, but I think he's been quality throughout this year. I don't think in this format, his form has dipped at any point. I think when he's played Test cricket, we've seen the best of Rabada, and he's given it his all in this year, which we haven't necessarily seen in previous years. I think in previous years, his Test performances at times have lacked. That has not happened in this year. This year, it's exceptional. It really is exceptional.
Keshav's gonna kill you because he's taken more
Yes.
wickets. Yes, his average is less, is more than KG, but he too had a stellar year. And looking at the numbers, right? If you just did a whole cold hard look at the nominees and you said Test Bowler of the Year, you'd say Kagiso. But I'm gonna push back on this. I'm gonna say it's a tie, and the reason why is Kagiso towards the back end of the year has been spectacular, right? Not saying at the front of the year he hasn't been great, but he wasn't at those levels as the levels he's at now. I would say I'd like to see a tiebreaker at Boxing Day, but the problem is they're playing a Centurion, so it's unfair in Cash. But for the fact that Cash finishes a calendar year as the highest wicket taker for the men's Test team, that means so much more. So much more. And I know I love Kagiso. I think Kagiso is the greatest bowler we've ever produced. And I know I said I wanted a tie, but actually, I'm giving it to Kesh. So it's going to be a tie between the two of us. So we have to send 2 awards, one to Kagiso, one to Keshav. But Keshav's contribution this year cannot be undone. He did really well at the beginning of the year. He carried on through the West Indies. He's just always been there. And this last test against Sri Lanka, him cleaning up Sri Lanka for us with that fifer in that second innings on a flat pitch is the reason why we want Keshav deserves it. And to a certain extent, Kagiso's proven to us, in the Sri Lanka series in Bangladesh, how great he is. He won't miss a Test bowler, but he wants a full Quota SA Cricket Awards the Test Bowler of the Year. I'm happy to give it to both of them. There's only 2 of them that they can share the trophy. You just have to get an extra one to send to the Maharaj household and to the Rabada household. But I think well done to both of them. Heads, streaks above it, double the wickets. The next best is Mark Jansen at 15. That tells you so much about these two and how important they are. And to a certain extent, I think both of them are in the top 10 in the world for bowling. And that's something we cannot talk away. And that's the reason why we are looking at the World Test Championship final. Okay, men's ODI batter of the year. The nominees are Tony de Zorzi, 308 runs at an average of 51 with 100 and 150. Tristan Stubbs, 242 at an average of 60 with 100 and 150. And I'm going to stop it there because the next player is Aiden Markram at 142 runs and an average of 35. I don't think he should be nominated in this. It falls off a cliff from that point on. Hasn't been a great year for the ODI team, Tim, but who takes ODI batter of the year?
Yeah, look, it's when we were discussing this pre-production, the show, we were discussing whether to include the 23-24 season, to go by cricket seasons, and we decided to go on calendar year. If we had got the former, Markham would be a candidate, and Markham would probably win it. That, for me, and his numbers say that, his performances say that he made a really good 100 at the end of last year in this format. But as you say, his form in general has just fallen off a cliff in general. It's been subpar. Taking that into consideration, and it's going to make things quite tricky when we get to later awards. I'm going to go Tristan. It's a difficult one because we didn't play an awful lot of ODI cricket, and the opposition that we played, if we're honest, was not the strongest. I know Tristan made 100 against Ireland. All due respect to Ireland, they were not the strongest opposition. But just in terms of rate of runs, how he scored them, how he went about it, it was as if he'd been an international cricketer for 10 years. He's seamlessly slotted into, we talk about his slotting into the test setup, he's slotted into that one-day setup like butter. It's as easy as pie. It looks easy to him. and he looks very, very. He looks as if he's really enjoying himself when he plays white ball cricket. So for me, because of the nature, as I say, the lack of games, we didn't play a lot of games, and lack of what we would call serious opposition, it's going to have to go to Tristan for me.
Tim. We disagree here. Now we have to share.
But,
now I have to send 2 trophies. Because Tony's my guy. Why? He's opening. Averaging 51 as an opener in your first year in one-day international cricket. You deserve it. I get Tristan's averaging 60. Yes. But Tristan's batting in a time where things are easy. This man has to navigate the new and hard ball. And there's 2 of them. 2 new balls. So I'm sitting there going, he scored the most runs. He may not have the highest average, right? But my word, Tony deserves it. I think as an opener in your first year, in a team that's a shambles, our limited overs teams are a problem. But the great thing is the 2 players we're talking about, Stubbs and Dzozi, have been the shining lights. And I'm happy to share it between them, but we need to put respect on Tony's name. DJ Tony, whatever his YouTube name is, he really deserves it. He's really stepped up. And in a year where runs were very few, very, very few, Tony deserves it. So I don't know if you want to change your thing or we're sending two trophies. One to Dzozi and one to Stubbs, but I think...
No, we can. I can concede here. I think the previous award, I think it's fair that we shared it. I think that's a fair composite because of their performance, the test format. In this one, I will concede that because of the difficulty nature, and as you say, for the reasons you point out, I'm happy for Tony to get this award. I think that's all right. I'm okay with that one. I'm okay to say I got this one wrong.
If Tristan was batting at 3, I'd be like, yeah, sharp, but he's not in the ODI side. But anyway, men's ODI bowler of the year. Let me give you the nominees. This is problematic. Anyway, Lazard Williams only played 3 games, took 11 wickets at an average of 11. Lungingiti played 6 matches, took 8 wickets at an average of 27. Bjorn Fortuin, 7 wickets after 6 matches at an average of 30. Othniel Bartman took 4 wickets at an average of 16. And Petlugaya took 5 wickets, an average of 16 in 5 matches. Bartman played 3 matches. He's injured right now, but I think we have the answer to him. It's Lazard. It's always been Lazard.
It's always been Lazard. Lazard was at a time of his career, prior to his injury, where he had actually found a relative consistency within the Proteas set up in this format. He was getting game time. He was playing more consistently. And we saw a quicker Lazard who was getting wickets. He was getting the results from playing more consistently, which is a real shame because I think he would have played against Pakistan in this upcoming series. I think that's most likely, and we would have seen his further progression as a fast bowler. It's a real shame for him that he's injured. But as you say, I don't think we can look beyond that. It was a very good season for him, and his real breakout season in terms of international cricket, because he really found a consistency within the national side.
And to some extent, he's also he's not a youngster, and so it kind of helped that bowling attack. And the fact that he got injured just kind of derailed, I think, the plans that Rob had. I know Shukri would have had him in the side had he not been injured. I think he would have been the Dane Patterson of Bangladesh and the Dane Patterson of Gqeberha. And I feel bad for him there, because I think even like you saw with the SA20, at SA20, he became the lead bowler for the Joe Super Kings. And you sat there going, he shouldn't be, but well done that he actually got there. And he's the lead bowler for the ODI side. And It'd be interesting if he doesn't actually make it to the Champions Trophy, or if he doesn't even have a starting role. Because I think for me, gone are the days of picking the fastest guys. The Geralds, Marco's probably solidified, Kagiso solidified, Vian might be solidified largely because of the all-rounder option. But then Lazard could actually be the partner next to Kagiso, or the first change, Bola. In a world where Andile Petluwayo effectively isn't there, Lungingiti has fallen off a cliff, and the Menzodi Bola, full quarter pod, Menzodi Bola of the year, Lazard Williams. Congratulations. Lazard will be sending something to your house, little trophy, just to say congratulations. Yes, next one is men's T20 batter of the year. Now we're going into some this one's going to be wild. Anyway, T20s, we use. There's no way Reza played 21 T20s in the year. Anyway, Reza Hendricks, 21 matches, 452 runs at an average of 22 and a strikeout of 125.2. Tristan Stubbs, 431 runs at an average of 35.91 and a strike rate of 125. David Miller, 323 runs in 14 matches, averaging 29 with a strike rate of 118. And Quinton de Kock, 12 matches, 307 runs, 146 strike rate and an average of 25. Tim, who's your winner?
This pains me to give this, because you'll find out in the later awards why. Because this would have been the cherry on the top. And we would all be singing the praises, and we would all be saying how wonderful it is to have a trophy in the cabinet, and so on and so forth. I still think, because of his World Cup effort, his form has slipped off slightly since then, but his World Cup effort cannot be avoided. You cannot go there and say, because we didn't win it, he can't then take away the trophy. So for me, it's got to be Klaasen. I'm just going to give you his World Cup numbers. So we are 190 runs at 31 at a strike rate of 126, with a 52 of 27 in that game that we all know about. Without his performances in that World Cup, we don't make the final. That's as simple. He doesn't perform like that. We don't make that final. It doesn't matter what anyone else does. So, yes, as I say, you're going to look at his T20 runs since the World Cup, and they're not going to be great. They have fallen off
90.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, he scored 90 runs, 80 runs since the World Cup.
Yeah, that's not great. Is it not great? But I just think for that World Cup performance, he's going to have to just edge it for me.
Edging it over Tristan Stubbs, who I would have given it to. His argument is consistency, even through the bad losses, even through the bad series. The bad series is where Klaasen wasn't there. He stepped up. But I'm happy to give it to Klaasen, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be going to the World Cup. And we got to, for the first 6 months of the year, we got a Heinrich Klaasen where no T20 game was done without him doing something. You had to get him out. And then we were like, okay, now we've lost. And he helped us take it deep in a World Cup final. We weren't supposed to take it deep in. But yeah, it has to be him. He was incredible at that World Cup for us. And it's funny, it's Miller, it's Klaasen, and it's Stubbs. And their World Cup contributions were the reason why we were there. And I see Reza playing 21 games, see all these guys playing so many games. But for me, it's those three. And Klaasen is above them all by a country mile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's the men's ones, the men's awards. So congratulations to everybody who's won something. You can come and fight us, send us an email, or find us on Twitter and be like, hey, I think you robbed so and so. Or on YouTube, let us know. That's our complaints line, by the way. Okay. We're gonna do Women's ODI Player of the Year, not batter and bowler, but Player of the Year. But we can do Women's ODI Batter of the Year. Let's do that for the
We
first
can.
one, and then
We can. I
batter.
did actually. I did actually split it up, but we can. We certainly can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Batter of the Year. Okay, sorry, just getting my notes going and everything. So, Women's ODI Batter of the Year in the last year. Nominees are Laura Wolfart, 882 runs and an average of 80 in 15 innings. My word. Marzan Cup, 455 at an average of 45. And Tasman Brits, 420 at an average of 36. Tim, who do you have? Who are you picking?
It speaks to the problem that we have with the national side, which we will get into in future podcasts. I'm sure we will go back into where they are as a team. It's Laura every day of the week, Monday to Sunday, 365 days of the year. It's Laura. Without Laura's class, we don't get to where we get to. We don't make the finals that we do. We don't get being competitive in the women's game. Without her, we are an awful lot worse without her and without her runs.
No, I hear you and I'm with you. And yeah, it's always been Laura. She's heads and shoulders above everyone else in this team. And yeah, without her, I don't know where this team will be. And the other thing is without Marazan Cup, we don't know what this team is going to be. But yeah. So, Women's ODI Bowler of the Year. The nominees are, hasn't been a great year for ODIs, but we've got Marazan Cup with 15 wickets at an average of 14. Nadine de Klerk, 13 wickets, an average of 32. And Ayabonga Kaka, 12 wickets at an average of 35. It must be noted that Marazan Cup did this in 10 innings and not 13 like Nadine and Aya. And the innings she had yesterday or 2 days ago against England is added here. So that's also an interesting one. Is it Marazan, Tim? Is Marazan the winner? Do we send something to Marazan and Danae?
Yeah, it's Marazan. It's Marazan. This team is Laura and Marazan, and occasionally the others chip in from time to time. But that's unfortunately where this team is at the moment. And it can't continue, but for the meantime, long may it continue. How she does it, how particularly Marazan, how she is able to be as consistent as she is, bat and ball and the field is something else. It really, really is something else. Impressive, very impressive.
Yeah, that is true. Words can't describe Marazan. And there was a moment in the commentary in the game yesterday where Danae was saying that Marazan, when she finds that line and she's got that line in length and it's just working, and then all of a sudden she bowls a slow ball and she's like, and I get mad. I just get mad. I'm like, mad. Domestic squabbles need to be off the TV, need to be away from commentary, but we love it. We love that commentary, by the way. Hopefully she stays on for a couple more years. T20, Women's T20 Batter of the Year. Let me give you the nominees. You've got Laura Wolfart, 673 runs, an average of 39. Tasman Brits, 549 at an average of 32. Annika Bosch, 405 at an average of 27. who are you picking? Is it still Laura, or is there a
So-
case for Tasman?
There was a case for Tasman on the stats you gave, but she has fallen away. She has fallen away. If she had remained that consistency that we saw, 2-3 months ago, it may have been her. It may have been her time. But again, I think it's Laura. It's Laura.
Yeah. And if you look at the strike rate as well, right? Laura's strike rate is at 125, Tasman 109, and Annika Bosch 116. The other one you could put in there is Marazan Cup, who scored 399 runs at an average of 30, but a strike rate of 140, which also speaks to how insanely good Marazan is with the bat, especially in T20s. So, yeah, congratulations to Laura again. Batting, but yeah, Annika Bosch, I think there's one for you somewhere along the way. Okay, and then T20 bowler of the year. Nominees are Nonguleko Mlaba, 17 wickets and an economy rate of 7.4 and an average of 24.82. Nadine de Klerk, in 2 more innings than Mlaba, took 16 wickets at an average of 27 and an economy of 7.5. Marazan Cup, playing 14 innings, took 11 wickets and an average of 23.63 and an economy of 5.3. Is it the average and economy over the number of wickets? And for me, this one goes to lefty. It has to go to Mlaba, especially with the World Cup performances. She stepped up in the World Cup. She was our MVP at the World Cup, did really, really well. And she has to win this one, Tim, surely.
I'm glad we agree. I did sort of write a couple of options down earlier, but you're right. I think her World Cup numbers speak for themselves, and they give her the award. I think that her consistency as well has been really, really impressive, and really important for the national side. I think without her, that's it. Without her, the Proteas women's side are a lot less effective. We talk about the bowling issues. Without her, they become a lot less effective, without a doubt.
Yeah, and yeah, I think we just need to figure out her ODI game, especially in South Africa. Also work on her fielding. She didn't have a great time in the field, but she was great with the bat yesterday. So well done to her. But without Mlaba, we don't make the World Cup final. That's we don't beat England, and we don't take out Australia. And yeah, that's essentially what it is. Okay, Tim. Now we go to the MVP awards. We're going to name men's cricket MVP and the women's cricket MVP. Men's cricket MVP, you've got Kagiso as a nominee, Keshav as a nominee, Temba, you've got Tristan, you've got Tony, you have Lazard, you've also got Hannah Claassen. Who is your Proteas men's MVP?
Tristan Stubbs, and without question for me, a true all-format player, World Cup contributions, ODI form, slotting into the number 3 spot at the Test format when I was very, very wary about it, and looking very accomplished, which I was not at all thought was going to happen. I think for all those reasons, for me, because of the all-format capabilities and form, it's got to be Tristan. His year has been exceptional.
He may not have won an award in the singular categories, but he was nominated across all of the 3 formats. And to a certain extent, for me, that's reason why you are the MVP, is the reason why you are in all three. And I was thinking about it this week. I was like, Tristan's literally in all three formats now. He's an all three format player. And the great thing about it is that he's got a higher ceiling than what he's given us now. And that is a scary fact for everyone else and an exciting fact for us all. So, Tristan, congratulations. You are our Proteas men's MVP. The Proteas women's MVP, there's Laura, there's Marzan, there's Lefty. Who are we going with on this one, Tim?
You could, for me, it's whether you go Laura or whether you go Marazan. I think it's a flip of a coin. I really, really do. Laura's numbers in terms of batting across all formats are insane. They are incredible. They are on another level. So they get us at the front foot. They get us into good positions. However, Marazan, with her contributions, win us games. Marazan batting ability. Marazan with the ball. Marazan fielding is exceptional for where she is in her career. For me, when she doesn't play, our performance drops considerably.
Yes.
And considerably, whether we're batting, bowling, and especially in the field. For me, it's got to be Marazan. And Laura, you've had a fantastic year, but for all-round contributions, it's got to be Marazan.
Yeah, and I can't fight that. You just need to look at the England T20 series without Marazan. Laura scored runs, but we didn't win games. And to a certain extent, if there ever was a superstar player who you always relied on, or you always needed to be in the 11 to make you feel like you're going to win the game, it's Marazan. Laura is one of those players too, but she has to do so much more in order for the Proteas to win. Laura can score 100 and the Proteas still lose. Marazan scores 100, they win. Marazan takes a fifer, even threefer, and they win. Yesterday, she took 4 wickets. They didn't win, but they came close. And I have an argument that it was the captain with her, I don't know why she likes bowling all these other part-timers, that cost us the game. But Marazan gives us every chance to win the game. And to a certain extent, she's our MVP. So congratulations to our MVP, Marazan Cup, as well as the Proteas men's MVP, Tristan Stubbs. Eastern Cape people. That's cool. That's interesting. Okay, the bad moment of the year. We've had a lot too. World Cup final losses. Proteas women getting embarrassed by England. The men's ODI and T20 teams outside of the World Cup. Just embarrassing. What's your bad moment of the year?
It's got to be that T20 final. It still bugs me. It occasionally comes on the TV that for some reason that they show that particular moment when you're 20 or 26, all those wickets in hand, and I still haven't recovered from it. It's got to be the T20 World Cup final. It really has for me. As you say, you talk about the different areas, and the different struggles that we've had, bad test matches, bad hours, bad sessions in games, frustrating moments.
Bad tours. That New Zealand tour, we forgot about it. But that's my bad moment of the year. Just an administrative stuff up. That we could be sitting in the World Test Championship right now. Really not needing to play Pakistan, not needing to win. But that was just an embarrassing moment for South Africa. Rolling out a team like that, with all due respect, in an international test match, just left a bad taste in my mouth. I see the World Cup final. I have more sympathy for both World Cup finals, even though we were in a position to win the game. But even then, it's increasingly harder. batting second. The bad moment of the year, if I had to look at one of the World Cup finals, the Women's World Cup final, we should have batted first. We didn't understand. We didn't understand the pressure of batting second, and it will always haunt me. The men's one is different. You're playing a better side, one of the best T20 teams in the world, a team that's blown everyone away in this tournament, and you are there. And you're new, you're seeing it for the first time, and you're experiencing all of these emotions and everything else, and things are about to go wrong, and they did. The women's final, second one, playing a team you beat before by a country mile. You then give them the opportunity to bat first. I don't know why. And you then proceed to lay an egg in the field as well with the ball. And you can't say to me, but Mpho, you apply the same World Cup final thing. We were there before. You need to learn from the lessons learned. The reason why Australia beat us easily in Cape Town was they won the toss and they batted first. They put a target we thought was chaseable, but we knew it was going to be hard. And they just beat us with the scoreboard and time. We let that go and we gave it to New Zealand. And right now, they're world champions and we're not. But hey, look, we didn't play like world champions against England, so that's it. So that's the bad moment of the year. Rob, we haven't forgotten about you. You just laid an entire egg the entire year. That goes without saying. You just embarrassed us. Just embarrassing. And quite frankly, if you lose this T20 series from this position, I'd ask them to fire you, honestly. But anyway, let's move. Coach of the year. Clearly not Rob. I don't have a vendetta against Rob, but he stunk up the joint. He's been stinking up the joint for the entire 2 years. Cool. Shukri. We've got Shukri. Who else? Gordon Parsons. I think those are my two.
Shukri, Gordon Parsons, and your mate Russell. I think those three have got to be in there. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go Gordon because of starting literally at scratch, starting at a union that has been playing cricket, but well below the semi-professional setup, with very little accessories, very little facilities, players having to drive 5, 6, 7 hours to get to grounds, to do practices, to get to that where they won that trophy is exceptional. It's exceptional. I think what they've done, they've now said that they've now got a base to where they want to be. They want to be competitive, particularly in the white ball stuff, where they weren't going to be. It is a difficult one. It is a difficult one because you can make a case for all three. But I would only say, yeah.
No, what I was saying is I agree with you. It has to be Gordon. Shukri, incredible year at the Proteas. He's lost 3 games, drawn 1 and won the rest, and effectively led us to this World Test Championship. Shukri, who's this? Russell, clean sweep, not clean sweep, but like very dominant wins with the Lions and continually winning every tournament that's coming. But it has to go to the Division 2 Coach of the Year, Gordon Parsons. What he did with Limpopo to win their first ever title in cricket, that has to be him. It has to be Gordon. And so, to a certain extent, I see the others. I don't want to share it. Gordon deserves it. And it's an incredible year for him. Really, really incredible year for him. Okay, next award, the Rizzle / Flop of the Year. I don't like this award. And it's the player who hasn't done well, or the coach.
Well, I was going to say, I should have actually told you, it doesn't have to be an individual person. It doesn't have to be. It can be an organization. It can be a team.
Okay. No,
So
I have mine. I have my nominee.
Exactly. So let's not. We don't want to get personal in terms of this person cost us the World Cup and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So who's your flop of the year?
Cricket South Africa, because of what you've just mentioned. Cricket South Africa, for messing up the New Zealand tour, potentially costing us World Test Championship final. So Cricket South Africa, the organisation, and they've scored a lot of own goals over the years, but thankfully they are becoming less and less as we get things in line. But that was still a massive, massive own goal. And it could still, even though we have virtually every body part in the World Test Championship final, it could still cost us a place in the final.
No, I hear you. And to some extent, CSA have egg on their faces, but the limited overs team, the men's limited overs team outside of a World Cup, just flops. Massive flops. I don't know what's going on in that setup. I don't want to blame any players, but that setup is just, whenever the Proteas wear colored clothing, it's just a catastrophe awaiting to happen. We beat Pakistan 2 days ago just because someone was being a little bit selfish with the balls, but he took his team quite deep. And I sat there going, we're not playing the style of cricket I think we should be playing. We're so far behind the rest of the world. I just don't understand how we got to I think I know how we got to that World Cup final. Those pitches really aided us in terms of keeping the games very tight and not allowing runs, totals to flow to be above 200. But there's seriously something wrong in that setup, and something needs to be done. And for me, they are my flop of the year. Okay, last award of the year, the surprise package of the year, the player organization that has surprised you in this year, exceeded above expectations. And I will start for this one, for that Women's World Cup performance. Nonkululeko Mlaba walked into that World Cup not requiring much from her. I just needed her to be average, just to be good, nothing spectacular. And then she said, Mpho, hold my champagne glass. I am in Dubai. This is how we do it. And Lefty, you are my surprise package of the year. Congratulations. It's been a fantastic year in T20 cricket for you. And then you gave me a nice little batting cameo 2 days ago against England, which I really appreciated. I appreciate game recognizes game, girl. Well done.
I'm gonna go for somebody who's really won an award, and I've sort of touched on already. For Tristan Stubbs to go in at number 3, I know he hasn't been number 3 at the last test because of Ryan and stuff, but he is, by all accounts, our number 3. To go into the test number 3 and look the real deal, to look the business in a format that he does well in domestic cricket, but there is a massive jump between domestic cricket and test cricket. And look as if he's the part. Look as if he belongs at number 3. Doesn't look as if we need to put him at number 5 or 6, where I would have started his test career and moved him up. He actually looks, technique-wise, how he goes about his innings, everything looks to me like a test number 3. And Shukri, I take my hat off to you. I thought it was the wrong decision, but you know what? I'm happy to concede that you got that one right. I knew he was going to be a test cricketer and a good one. I wasn't at all convinced he was going to be a good test number 3. I wasn't at all convinced, but I am now.
Yeah, no. If you think of Tristan, it's been a year of trusting coaches and being in the system and showing your talent and your class. And I know I don't want to make this a comparison thing, right? But if you look at how many of the other kids who've come to the system with talent have been thrust into this game and have fallen off or haven't hit the same strides. Obviously, Vian's hit the strides now. Aiden is stop-start. Others just fell off. Tristan has kept that going, and let's see if he can keep that going. But he's been a very important, a very great surprise for us to know that we can survive. Remember him last year, 2 years ago, starting in the T20 side, not doing well at that first World Cup and not even getting games. ODI World Cup was tough for him. And then now, this year, it's kind of come a little bit more full circle. So congratulations to him. I think it was really, he had a really amazing year. And congratulations to all our winners. That is the end of the Full Quota podcast, South African Cricket Awards show. Please do remember that we will be sporadic throughout December, but we will be in and out should the schedule allow, and for or any emergent news that come through from a South African cricket perspective. Tim, any final words to our winners and to our fans?
If you enjoyed this episode and you would like us to do one for the domestic competition at the end of the season, let us know in the comments on Twitter, on Instagram, and we will do one for the domestic players as well.
And to close us out, please remember, follow us on the Full Quota Pod on X, subscribe to the Full Quota Podcast YouTube channel, Full Quota Podcast, and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify at Full Quota Podcast. And also remember, you can buy some coffee at buymeacoffee.com. Any and all contributions are appreciated to help us keep growing this little community that we have. Please share widely as well. From us, please have a great festive season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all those who are celebrating, and we'll most likely see you on the other side of that. There's a lot of cricket on the go, so please do enjoy that. And if you need us, let us know on Twitter and all the other socials, and we might just come back just before then. Outside of that, it's goodbye and lesale kakahiso.